agriculture, and I think discussion on productivity. I'll quickly revise this topic because ये आगे हर जगह काम आने वाला है. So productivity का main objective क्या है? Objective is to measure and evaluate agriculture performance. Okay, ऐसे how good are you studying? I want to measure. How do I measure? बहुत techniques हैं. Measure by the score you have got. Measure by the notes you have made. Measure by the time taken for course completion. Measure by maybe how many answers you can write down. So to measure anything, there are many methods. So one of which is productivity. Measure and evaluate performance का agriculture में mainly दो तरह के tools हैं. One is you measure in terms of productivity, you measure in terms of agricultural efficiency. Both are measures of agriculture system. जैसे कार का performance कैसा है? It can be in terms of petrol consumption. That's one performance. One is in terms of 0 to 100 in how many seconds. Performance in terms of what the horsepower. Performance in terms of its maintenance. हम जब कार खरीदते हैं पूछते हैं सवाल, right? The guy asks you, are you looking for a daily car or looking for long drive car? Are you looking for a commuting or maybe a sports passion है आपका तो आपको car performance car चाहिए. So there are many measures by which you measure anything. In agriculture, the two popular ones are these two, efficiency and productivity. Efficiency क्या होता है? It is output per input measured in terms of percentage. And this is a very common measure of any performance. But the problem in agriculture is input में बहुत कुछ है which you can't quantify. How do you quantify? Labor which is family. इसको आप salary दे नहीं रहे हो. How do you quantify the cow dung you use as a manure which is not paid for? How do you quantify the value of the rainfall, which is the source of your waters? And India में output भी बिकता नहीं है. What you are selling is very less, bulk of itself consumption. So output per input would have been a very nice measure provided we could quantify this objectively. So what we did was, एक काम करते हैं, input, there is land, there is fertilizer, there is labor, there is water, there is maybe pesticides. I can't measure everything. Let us measure only land. Or let us measure only the manpower or workers we have used, labor we have used. Labor we have. यही करते हैं. And output, I can't measure everything. Let me measure just the weight. So efficiency का एक dumbed down version है. Let us measure in terms of output per input, but output is in terms of kg and input is in terms of land area. So productivity is a convenient measure. I'm very selective. Some can say no, output in terms of maybe kg, input in terms of the man hours. हम तो wage payment कर नहीं रहे हैं ना, but I know 10 people worked for 5 hours every day. I can add man hours. Somebody can say no, let us do what is the output in terms of calories. Otherwise, how do I compare wheat and rice and maize? Convert them to calories ताकि हमारा एक unified version आ जाए. And output can be in terms of again land area. So efficiency is a very nice measure provided I can measure all aspects of output and input. Take all of you. Productivity is a, okay, so productivity is a convenient measure. It's a convenient measure. It is very selective about which aspects of output and which aspects of input to be quantified and expressed. Productivity क्या है? It is a convenient measure. आराम से आप measure कर सकते हो. And what we do is we are very selective. Very selective which aspects of output and which aspects of input. Output में बहुत कुछ है, focus only on the weight, nothing else. Input में बहुत कुछ है, focus only on the land area, only on the manpower. That's all. So the more popular one is, okay, it is weight in quintals divided by area in hectares. And this is what is called as yield. So productivity के बहुत सारे versions हैं. The most popular one is the weight in quintals and area in hectares, and we call it as the yield of that particular land. I hope I've given the context to all of you now. Yeah, because Gaurav वो सब कुछ use नहीं कर रहे हैं. Okay, he's not using all aspects of the costs. That's why. Okay? It's called as yield. Now the question you asked me is, sir, intensive farming is a high yield or is it low yield? आप ये compare करना चाह रहे हैं. Okay, so listen to this. What is extensive? Extensive is large land, okay, holdings. एक लैंड होगा 50 एकड़, 100 एकड़, 300 एकड़ का लैंड होगा. Very large land holdings. Extensive farming invariably will also be very high in terms of input management. Generally, extensive farmings, okay, अगर crop वाला है, it is bound to use machines. अगर वो cattle वाला है, it will be pastures. Okay, with or without machines, but generally यहां पर भी machines use होता है. Okay, intensive farming is small land holdings. Intensive farming वहां पर होता है where population pressure is very high. Okay, intensive वहां पर होगा where, okay, the agricultural land is limited and there is very high population pressure on the land. Land महंगा है. A farmer can't afford 100 hectares of land. Okay, he'll afford maybe 1 acre, 2 acre, 10 acres. That's all. So land holdings are small. Population, okay, pressure is very high, and there is agricultural land जो है वो limited land है. So if the people are more, land is less, I need more output. Intensive में, okay, they will try to grow as much as possible from the land. एक लैंड में जितना भी निकाल पाओगे निकालो, whatever is possible. Okay. Now this intensive farming दो तरह के होते हैं. Intensive farming that uses, okay, natural methods and subsistence farming. And intensive farming that uses machines, that uses technology, that is also high investments. There's also high investments. ठीक है? Now, by nature, अगर objective है to grow as much as possible from the land, okay, you are bound to use the land more, okay, intensively. You will want more output. Okay, you'll want more output per land. So if you want one answer will say that extensive farming has very high output, but output per land will be less. बहुत सारा land शायद use ना हो. So extensive farming, maybe they produce 2000 quintals of food, but land भी बहुत ज़्यादा होगा. Maybe there are 100 acres of land. Machines होंगे. So in general, the output is more, but the land, okay, amount is also very high. So if you look at the ratio, output per land, the extensive farming will have relatively less output per area. Whereas in general, intensive में, the output per area is higher. But अगर subsistence method है, then यहाँ पर भी it can become low because no fertilizers, because primitive methods of farming, because not the best of seeds. So in general, intensive farming will have very high productivity because आपको land से जितना निकालना है निकाल लो आप. However, if intensive farming has natural methods, it has subsistence systems of farming, if it has, okay, low technology and poor seeds, तो intensive में भी I can have low productivity. But intensive farming with some technology, with some a better methods of farming and techniques and technology, ये तो पक्का बहुत high होगा. It's very, very high. Take all of you. Now say if this is the traditional natural farming and this is, say, the mechanized technology, probably with the best of inputs, this is natural subsistence, like think of slash and burn agriculture, or think of a small farmer who is surviving only for his basic needs, and think of an intensive farming, जिसमें machines हैं, technology है, good seeds हैं. Where do you think India is? A or B? Where do you think India is? A or B? Yes, India is somewhere here. इधर नहीं है. Last 20-30 years में बहुत कुछ change हुआ है. आप जो भी राइस खाते हो, it is hybrid rice. ऐसा कोई फार्मर नहीं है अब who is not using fertilizers. ऐसा कोई फार्मर है ही नहीं who doesn't use pesticides. In very less cases, the farmers are subsistence. Now it's changing. I hope you got the point here. So Indian agriculture ये नहीं है. Remember this. India traditionally was this. It is moving towards this. But जितना हो सकता है वो अभी भी नहीं है. India is not low productivity. India is not adequate productivity. India has developed. Agriculture has changed. Investments होते हैं. But जितना हम कर सकते हैं उतना नहीं है. And for heaven's sake, Don't try to maximize either. वो अलग problem. I think we have discussed that yesterday. So if this is very, very low productivity, this is very, very high productivity, ये midpoint है. Okay. India may be here in some cases, India may be here in some cases. Okay. Maybe this range is very, very high productivity, but it is environmentally unsustainable. इंडिया को करना क्या है? इंडिया को ये वाला बढ़ाकर ये कर देना है. That's all. I don't have to enter here because इसकी जरूरत नहीं है. India has lot of agricultural land. इंडिया में बहुत लैंड वेस्ट होता है. India still does not use the best technologies. If this is 5, this is 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. India must not go into 9 and 10. ये खतरनाक है. Okay. India does not need this. It's like, if you have been studying 3-4 hours or 5 hours every day, एग्जाम के टाइम में आपको 20 घंटा पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. Okay. If you're not studying, फिर लास्ट में तो मरोगे आप डेफिनेटली. तो आपका टारगेट अभी होना चाहिए कि डोंट टारगेट 20 hours a day. टारगेट 6 hours a day. टारगेट 5 hours. आप शायद 2 and 3 में है. Make it 5 hours a day. That's all. आपको 15-20 घंटा सोचना भी नहीं है. It is unsustainable. So one of the objectives of agricultural modernization and agricultural reforms will be how to increase productivity but not go down this route. हम अगर अपना productivity in most crops अगर डबल भी कर देते हैं ना, we will be world leaders in production and even exports. We don't need to do something dramatically different and go the Japanese way or go the Egyptian way. उनको करना मजबूरी है. Imagine, this is the country of Egypt. One river Nile, जितना भी fertile land है within 50 kilometers of Nile है. So they have to produce lot from this small amount of land. उनके बस मजबूरी है. Japan, okay. Hokkaido, no agriculture. Shikoku, Kyushu, small islands. अगर प्लेन लैंड कर गया उतना काफी है. Okay. Honshu, it's all mountains here. All mountains here. Very high urbanization. Okay. तो लैंड एग्रीकल्चर के लिए कितना बचा आपका? Very less. So Japanese are forced to cultivate the maximum out of the land. Hope you got the point here. China, it's a huge country. But huge country में okay, ये कोई काम का नहीं है. This is Tibet. Okay, this is Xinjiang deserts. Okay, lot of industries. This also is a dry part. Extensions of Gobi Desert है. China में agriculture land छोटा सा pocket में यहाँ पर है. Okay. In India, our net sown area is approximately 140 million hectares. Anybody knows how much China has? How much of land, agricultural land China has? 90 million hectares. बड़ा हुआ तो क्या हुआ? जैसा पेड़ खजूर. Yes. So China needs to go aggressive with its output. इंडिया में बहुत है. इंडिया को तो कम करना है यहां पर. India can afford to reduce to 90. Have you got the point here? So if you look at India's productivity, okay, Indian system is intensive, but don't call Indian system as primitive. Okay, India must improve, but must not go down the unsustainable agricultural systems. So intensive agriculture में productivity high होता है या low होता है? In general, high होता है. Extensive में in general low होता है. But if intensive and primitive, वहां पर productivity low होगा. Have you got the point now? समझ में आ गया आपको all of you? Why do we need to increase production? We will produce that much as we consume. Agriculture का objective is not only food security. Okay. Agriculture का objective is income generation, agriculture development, to have export promotion, agriculture leaders in terms of food processing. So by that logic, Deepak, इतना पढ़ाई करना ही क्या है? 2 रोटी तो खानी है. ओके, वो तो अभी मिल जाएगी. Okay, fine. Let's move on. And that'll take a lot of time. Revise kar lo, Gaurav. If I have time, I'll come back on that. Okay, revise there. I've seen the notes. Okay, revise that. If you have a problem, ask me. It can be for any number of crops, not just 8. Okay, fine. Let's move on. So we are done with agriculture. का feature क्या है इंडिया में? I have done a bit on agricultural significance. I gave you an idea about a cropping pattern in terms of distribution. Then we have done agricultural productivity, agricultural crop intensity. ये कर लिया हम लोगों ने? Okay, so I'll move on from here. By the way, I think today you have a case study. Tomorrow we'll not have a case study. Tomorrow I have asked Ajay to prepare a summary sheet on crops, what are the conditions, where are they grown, and something more than that. Okay. So I do not need for optional geography, but as geography students, you better know that. So my recommendation is, पढ़ के आना. Rice में क्या है, wheat में क्या है. Still discuss something. It might take you 2 sessions. But I'll not take that in my regular class. Or post class, we'll have that discussion. Fine? Okay, so we'll cover something beyond that also. Let's move on now. Okay. Agricultural programs. Agricultural programs. Okay. And agricultural modernization. Agricultural programs and agricultural modernization. I think this is the most important applied aspect of agriculture. Okay, or isse you can have lot of discussions on answer writing, introduction, answer writing, conclusions. Okay, it's an important discussion here. Agriculture programs and modernization. Right on 4-5 point. The first point here is, what is the objective of agriculture development and expansion in India? What are the objectives of agricultural development and expansion in India? क्या आप रिफॉर्म्स करना चाहते हैं? क्यों करना चाह रहे हैं? आपको हासिल क्या कर? What do you want to achieve out of it? The first point is, yes, you're right, food security. Okay, India's commitment is that we have to be food self-reliant. India's first objective is food self-sufficiency and food self-reliant. इसका मतलब क्या है? What does self-sufficiency mean? What does self-reliance mean? Anybody? Yeah? They're same? Difference क्या है? Self-reliance means that. Are they same or different words? Self-sufficiency and self-reliance. Yes? Futuristic. Okay, fine. Yeah, I can hear something. Louder bolo. Reliance means? So what does self-sufficiency mean? Okay, not wrong. But listen to this. Self-sufficiency means you grow whatever you need. And what you don't grow, you will not use. But I can't grow, India में वो climate conditions नहीं है, okay, to grow a crop called X. So I will not use X. So you will use only what you grow, and whatever you need, you will produce it internally. I want rice, entire rice in India. I want wheat, entire wheat from India. Self-reliance means that your ability should include to buy also what you don't grow. I grow rice, okay. I can't grow cotton, but I have enough money to buy cotton. Have you got the point here? So self-reliance is a bigger word than self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is, okay, by mujhe, something I need, say I need to use a table, I'll make my own table. I'm self-sufficient. Self-reliance का मतलब ये होता है, I can't make a table, but I have income, and from that money I can buy whatever I need. Ultimately, it's all about that we should not be arm twisted on agricultural issues. क्या आप पैसे की तंगी ना हो आपके पास में, टेक्नोलॉजी की कमी नहीं हो आपके पास में, you want food, you grow it or you buy it without any pressure on yourself. India wants both. India का primary objective है, we must be self-sufficient on all the essential food grains and vegetables. भाई राइस स्वीट के लिए हमें इंपोर्ट नहीं करना चाहिए. But maybe I want to import oil palm. I can afford it, import oil palm. If I have technology, so oil palm, I can grow oil palm also. So self-sufficiency is about, okay, domestic production of all our needs. But we want to go towards self-reliance now. I hope you got the point here. So self-reliance is a bigger concept. Next point. India must meet its nutritional health requirements. India must meet its nutritional health requirements, which includes range of diversified food products or food produce, range of diversified food produce. मतलब हमारा एग्रीकल्चर सिर्फ राइस व्हीट से नहीं चलेगा. I need to have pulses, I must have oil seeds, I need to have fruits, I must have vegetables, I must also have milk production, I must have chicken, poultry production also. I want the entire range. Hunger is not about calories in terms of proteins and carbohydrate alone. I also need multivitamins. I also need, okay, fat consumption. I also need good drinking water also. So India agriculture must be able to support me in terms of balanced and diversified food. Okay, third point. Okay, it must be environmentally sustainable. It must be environmentally sustainable. Agriculture एक ऐसा activity है that depends on the land water quality. And at the same time, agriculture can also impact land and water. If agriculture गलत है, the land can get degraded. If agriculture गलत है, the water can be wasted and polluted. At the same time, agriculture needs also good water, good land. So, while we have agriculture assets, but our systems are such that we end up corrupting and polluting our assets. We have land degradation, soil erosion, land salinity, problems of water contamination, groundwater fall. We have problems of methane emissions because of paddy cultivation. We have problems of deforestation. Lot of forests are cut down for the purpose of agriculture. And now agriculture also results in air pollution because of stubble burning. Right? So our agriculture has to be environmentally sustainable. Within bracket right now, right, that many of the environmental problems related to land and water, such as such as salinity problems, groundwater depletion, problems of eutrophication, EUTRO, problems of eutrophication, okay, comma, land fallowing and desertification. Land fallowing and desertification are related to faulty agricultural practices. In fact, droughts are also because of wrong water management. Droughts are also because of wrong water management and because of faulty cropping systems. ठीक है, सो एग्रीकल्चर दोनों है, एग्रीकल्चर विक्टिम भी है और एग्रीकल्चर कल्प्रिट भी है. Agriculture suffers if environmental problems are compromised, and agriculture also causes lot of environmental problems. Okay. The fourth point, agriculture has to be commercially profitable. Agriculture has to be commercially profitable. Okay. Agriculture is the basis of sustenance. Agriculture basis of sustenance of rural economy. Sustenance of rural economy. Agriculture decides macroeconomic indicators. It decides macroeconomic indicators. And agriculture also is a prospect area for expanding Indian exports. It's a prospect area for expanding Indian exports. So please don't see agriculture simply as food security. Agriculture can be part of a thriving economy. And within bracket mention, the farmers' economic and social development. Farmers' economic and social development depends on agriculture performance. It depends on agriculture performance. ठीक है? So if I want a robust economy, देखो हमारा while it's nice to target trillion economy, is good to target, okay, India becoming 10 trillion economy, high GDP, but we must ensure the farmers and the village economy is part of this large GDP. ऐसा ना हो कि few companies, few corporate areas, few sectors are growing so rapidly that while the target of GDP achieve हो गया, but very high inequalities हैं. We don't want that. And the only way we can have, okay, or we can tackle inequality is if we focus on agriculture-based economy also. I think I gave some numbers to you last time, that there's a very large population, approximately 600-700 million farmers हैं. And all of them cannot be absorbed in manufacturing and service sector. All of them can't become IT professionals. All of them can't be urban economy part. So the जो रह जाते हैं, where can they go? Only agriculture. And for them, the income must increase, because farmers and villagers also have aspirational life. उनका भी एग्रीकल्चर सिर्फ नहीं कि खाना खा लें, that's all. They must afford health care, they must afford education, they need a good quality of life. So don't see agriculture only as a food security thing. Agriculture is also an economic activity, make it commercial also. Okay, these are the 4-5 objectives. अच्छा, एक और point add कर लो. That agriculture is a very important component of India's development objectives. Agriculture is a very important component of India's development objective. Because most of the depressed regions and backward areas of India, most of the depressed regions and the backward areas of India are rural agricultural regions. They are rural agricultural regions. And bulk of the poverty and below poverty line population, bulk of the poverty and below poverty line, BPL population, are small marginal farmers, and hence India's poverty is essentially agrarian poverty. India's poverty is essentially agrarian poverty. समझ में आ रहा है point here? In fact, if I look at poverty of India, is all poverty only in the villages? Do we have poverty in the urban areas or not? Yes. Okay. But urban areas में भी वो poor लोग हैं कौन? They are the poor farmers who have migrated into the cities. जो poverty है, it is not a rural phenomena. It's also an urban phenomena. और urban regions में भी they essentially are the poor farmers. Indian migration में the source areas are agriculture economy areas, right? कहां से out migration हो रहा है? जहां पर agriculture developed नहीं है. If you're looking at balanced development for all regions develop, all economies participate, you cannot ignore agricultural activities. ठीक है? So one page on, yes, Tarun, वो सब words आ जाएगा. Okay? So one page on, with agriculture, what do we want to do? ठीक है? We want agriculture to be part of food security, agriculture part of our rural development, agriculture part of export expansion, agriculture part of income generation, and agriculture also part of environmental sustainability. Okay. Now, if you look at pre-independence, इतना समझ में आ रहा है? Pre-independence, the colonial history was essentially agricultural exploitation. Okay? Zamindari system, permanent settlement, okay, compulsory cash crop agriculture, famines, droughts. आप इंडिया में कुछ भी poverty उठा लो, it is all linked to agricultural exploitation and rural exploitation. The farmers were at the receiving end. Okay, so we had the permanent settlement, the intermediary system of zamindari, okay, administration. Okay, talk about the problems of cash cropping, the problems of famines. ये सब agriculture से linked था. और इसका main reason था that the British, they distorted our agriculture. The British, they distorted our agriculture. How did they distort it? How did they distort? They distort by, okay, forced cash cropping, They distort by increasing, okay, rents. They distort by, okay, by denying land ownership to the farmers. ठीक है? So consequence क्या था? Agriculture was a disincentive. Okay. How did the British, how did the colonial powers impact agriculture? I said they distorted agriculture. खराब कर दिया उन्होंने. Because see, you know what best part was? If you look at our history, the good kings were those, देखो एक तो होता है morality. I'm a good man, I'm an honest man, I'm a caring man, okay, I'm a man who has integrity. आप ये part छोड़ दो. Okay, morality वाला part छोड़, because you know, I'll not call them immoral, but जो power में होते हैं ना, उनका morality का definition ही अलग होता है. What is morality for most of us is not morality at that level. What is integrity for us, वहां पर कुछ और चल रहा है. Okay, example देखा अभी, okay, U-turn जो हुआ अभी बिहार में, okay, and I'm sure that will be shown as morality. It was done for the people's development. Okay, it was done for, okay, keeping people's interest in mind. वो narrative build हो जाएगा और हम वो विश्वास भी कर लेंगे. Okay, so वहां पर अलग morality है. Okay, हमारे लिए corruption है कि पैसा चोरी ना करो, but वहां पर पैसा नहीं, पूरा बैंक उठा लो. Okay, तो अलग level है वो. And then get your loans also waived off eventually. So I will not talk about morality, छोड़ दो आप. But if you look at our history, even the most immoral kings we can talk about, some of them were very good administrators. Reason being, they managed agriculture very well. Okay, I mean the best example is Alauddin Khilji. Yes, the way he managed, I think concept of MSP वहीं शुरू होगा शायद. Okay, the whole idea of rent management, price control, inflation control goes back there. और खिलजी का system was used by all the later kings. Okay, in some way or the other, okay, land reforms वहां चला जाता है. और Todermal system, okay, under the Mughals and Akbar. Akbar का, okay, एक dimension था, the way they managed, okay, agriculture revenues. And whichever king did not do that, even if he was a moral guy, we say he was a bad administrator. Okay, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he was not known as a cruel man, right? A very sharp mind, but ahead of his times. Okay, and he messed up with agriculture, droughts, and so on. What I'm saying is, if you look at history before the British, अगर वो effective administrator है, he has worked very well in agriculture. The farmers, because king के लिए the revenue बहुत important था, and the main revenue source क्या है? Agriculture ही है. The farmers become his, okay, soldiers eventually. So agriculture management before the colonial times was very good. Think of the Chola empires, right? The Anicuts they made, the Ayacuts they made, irrigation systems they have made, legendary systems. The Chalukyas, the Satavahanas, they were known for agriculture constructions, the land rents that they maintain. So the problem was, ये सारा चीज was distorted under the British, because British very clearly were not working for Indian interests. वो तो अपने आप को मानते भी नहीं थे, they are part of India. आए हैं, ट्रेडिंग करने आए हैं. This is our, okay, area of trading. We go back to our country eventually. वहीं रिटायर करेंगे हम, right? So this was the reason why agriculture gets distorted. So what happened was, post-independence, so when we have post-independence, can you understand how agriculture has to be an objective of our development? Okay, because a very large, okay, section of population were the farmers. A very large, powerful force for India was the Kisan Sabhas. अगर rise of Patel देखें, rise of गांधी जी देखें, ये चंपारण सत्याग्रह, खेड़ा सत्याग्रह, okay, ये सब कहां से आ रहा है? बरदोली सत्याग्रह. Why? So सब farming issues हैं. You look at your Bengal famine, वहां से inspirations. So post independence, agriculture was a very high priority. Okay, we could not have ignored agriculture. Okay, agriculture क्यों है priority? For two things. One is, भाई हमें food चाहिए ना. We cannot have famines in an independent India. Okay. Plus, I need farmers, okay, say income also. If bulk of the poverty is because of farmers' poverty, address karo usko. So our point of conversation here is, post-independence, agriculture was a very high priority. अब समझ में आ रहा है, एक लिखा जा रहा है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन लिखा जा रहा है, उसमें फंडामेंटल राइट्स इज अ वेरी पावरफुल सेक्शन. उसमें एक राइट वो है, राइट अगेंस्ट जमींदारी सिस्टम. राइट, व्हाट डज मीन? एबॉलिशन ऑफ इंटरमीडियरीज इतना हाई प्रायोरिटी है. इफ आई डोंट रिमूव दैट, आई विल ऑलवेज हैव एक्सप्लॉयटेशन एंड इनइक्वालिटीज. So our discussion point here is that while we have lot of agenda of agriculture development, okay, we have started the process right after independence. In fact, three most important things after independence was the removal of intermediaries, was lowering of the land rents, okay, and third was no compulsion for cash cropping. No compulsion for cash cropping. ये तीन immediately हमने शुरू किया. ठीक है. Ultimately, remove जमींदारी system was also our constitutional obligation. हमें करना ही पड़ेगा. ठीक है. So removal of intermediaries, lowering of land rents, and no compulsion for cash cropping. Okay, so what the government did was essentially, okay, agriculture ko we started to deregulate. We deregulated agriculture. This was our first agenda after independence. कि सारा प्रॉब्लम इसलिए हो रहा है ना, बिकॉज सरकार सब कुछ रेगुलेट कर रहा है. आप क्या ग्रो करोगे, कितना रेंट दोगे, रेंट किसको दोगे. Okay, government is manipulating this. Deepak, what was that? Okay, you know, we are जवान हूं but इतना भी नहीं हूं. How removal of zamindari is constitutional obligation. Deepak, fundamental rights, okay, removal of intermediaries. I don't even know what to say now. Compulsory, अरे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन लिखा है यार, फंडामेंटल राइट है वो हमारा. इट्स जस्ट अ बैड डे. ओके, वी मूव ऑन. लिख लो अभी. ओके, फाइन. Somebody gets stumped sometimes. Okay. All fine here. So the objective, so as a part of agricultural modernization development, ये पहला स्टेप था कि agriculture has to be deregulated. And what does this mean? Essentially means that the government is getting out of the farmer's way. क्या फार्मर को खेती करने दो अपने तरीके से, क्यों उनको छेड़ रहे हो? Get out of farmer's way, and farmers will do things properly. Did this help? Yes, it did. Okay, India, okay, the farmers went back to village. Farmers started growing food crops. Okay, farmer started expanding lot of land which otherwise was abandoned and lying fallow. You see, when agriculture becomes disincentive, मतलब क्या है? मेरे पास for example 2 acre land है and I want to cultivate the land. Okay, means I must grow food or whatever. The government says grow indigo, and the government says pay 50% rent. If you cannot pay the rent, okay, then take a loan. I take a loan and I'm trapped. Okay, तो फार्मर सेज यार लैंड को पड़े रहने दो, मैंने खेती नहीं करनी. इफ आई कल्टिवेट आई एम ट्रैप्ड. Have you got the point here? So farmer says लैंड रहने दो यार, मैं जाऊंगा अर्बन एरिया में, I'll become a rickshaw puller. कम से कम बॉन्डेड लेबर तो नहीं बनूंगा ना. So under the British system, lot of land was fallowed. Farmers did not want cultivation. They saw cultivation as a trap for generations to come. अगर मैंने लोन ले लिया, मैं कभी चुका नहीं पाऊंगा. My son will inherit my loan and so will his son, and it continues. अच्छा है यार, I stop farming, okay, I don't do agriculture, मैं कुछ और वैसे ही मरना है, ऐसे ही मरना है. कम से कम my son has a prospect of doing something else. This is called as agriculture is a disincentive. ठीक है? But when government removes this, okay, the farmers now go back. So the consequence of agricultural deregulation post independence was number one, okay, there was area expansion in agriculture. There was area expansion in agriculture. जो खेती कर नहीं रहे थे उसमें अब खेती होने लगा. Number two was agriculture revived, and farmers went back to villages for cultivation. It revived and farmers went back to villages for cultivation. And third, India started producing enough food and famines were addressed. ठीक है? So what does the government infer from this? कि बढ़िया यार, कि इतना कुछ कर रहे थे सरकार, जब भी प्रॉब्लम हो रहा था. If we get out of the way, the farmers अपने आप करेंगे. The learning was agriculture is India's way of life. आपको फार्मिंग सिखाना नहीं पड़ रहा है, इनका कल्चर ही यही है. इनके ट्रेडिशन इज एग्रीकल्चर. A farmer need not be told what to do. Get out of his way. It's like, some people, okay, they have skills which are natural. In trying to train them, you actually spoil them. We say, let the person grow independent of training. वो अपने आप he'll find his way. So this was our learning. We said, then agriculture चलो संभल गया. What we'll do is now, let's focus on industries. So do not call this as agriculture neglect. It was faith in agriculture. यार ये सब संभल जाएगा. For 3 years, we had surplus food production in India. We grew more than what we otherwise were consuming. We had a surplus production and famines nahi the. Up to, almost mid and late 50s tak. And that was a huge achievement for us. So the learning from this was what? The learning from the post-independence agriculture deregulation was, number one, agriculture is India's strength. ये हमारा strength है, हमारा culture है, is our tradition. हम संभाल लेंगे यार. Don't have to teach me agriculture. India is agriculture strength. Okay. Farmers will deliver if not interfered with. The farmers will deliver if not interfered with. आप छेड़छाड़ ना करो, वो करेगा. ठीक है? And third is agricultural, okay, self-reliance can allow for investments in industrial sector. अब एग्रीकल्चर सेल्फ रिलायंट हो चुका है, let's focus on industries. Have you got the point here? It's like, I have a group of maybe 4 people, और सब में मैं स्ट्रगल कर रहा हूं. Then I discover यार ये दे तो बहुत टैलेंटेड है, इन पे इतना टाइम मत लगाओ, इनको एम्पावर करके छोड़ दो. टाइम लगाना इन पे लगाओ. Who needs support? Let us support them. अभी क्या है? Our investment is getting distributed. Now we'll say agriculture can manage, focus on areas जिसमें कि इंडिया का weakness है. So with this, what happened was, with this, India adopted a deliberate, imbalanced development-based strategy. With this, India adopted a deliberate, imbalance-based strategy, where all development investments were focused on capital intensive industrial development. Okay, we focused on capital intensive industrial development. हमने कहा चलो अब डैम्स बनाएंगे, पावर प्लांट्स बनाएंगे, स्टील प्लांट्स बनाएंगे, एल्यूमिनियम स्मेल्टर्स बनाएंगे, लेट्स मेक पोर्ट्स. Okay, so because agriculture is self-reliant, it can manage, get out of the farmer's way, ये ग्रो करा देंगे. हमें क्या करना चाहिए? Let us focus on capital intensive industrial development. Let's focus on steel plants, let's focus on dams, power generation, let's focus on ports. Okay, heavy engineering, आप उस पे focus करो. And agriculture, okay, was assumed to have, okay, taken off on its own. Again, this was the strategy of our second 5-year plan, also called as the Mahalanobis plan or the Nehruvian approach. I hope you understand what I mean by deliberate imbalance. याद आ रहा, समझ में आ रहा है? What I mean by, यहाँ पर, sorry, what I mean by, okay, deliberate imbalance strategy. Don't give equal focus on every sector. Some sectors are our strength. Some sectors, okay, are capable of managing on their own. You focus on sectors which are not as well developed. So we went the approach of focusing investments on capital intensive producer goods, capital intensive, okay, intermediary goods. Let's make machines which can make more machines rather than going the direction of agriculture. ठीक है? So this was all good and fine. What happened was, okay, that by the end of the second 5-year plan, by the end of second 5-year plan, India, I hope you know the years, okay, 50, 55, 56, okay, end of this, India has problems of droughts. India has problems of droughts. Okay. फिर आपका 61 में China war हो गया. China war. In fact, 55 was also the Korean War, which could become a world war again. ठीक है? Droughts, China war. So by late 50s and 60s, early 60s में क्या हुआ? India is facing a famine threat. It was a massive droughts. Okay, India faced famine threats. A famine would have been terrible for India because देखो, the whole agenda or the whole narrative was कि British don't care for us and that's why people are dying. British don't care for us, that's why we have famines. Okay, and British said कि आपको अपना गवर्नेंस चलाना आता है नहीं, we are helping you, we will make your constitution, okay, we are doing a favor by supporting you. India says no, you are not doing that, you are exploiting us, and we push them out. So if after independence अगर फिर भी famines हो रहा है, वो भी almost 10-15 साल इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद में, द ब्रिटिश क्या बोलेंगे? यार आप तो हमें बता रहे थे, आप तो खुद ही संभाल नहीं पा रहे हो, अब तो हम जा चुके हैं, what about you? The whole world is waiting for India to collapse. The whole world is predicting कि इंडिया सर्वाइव ही नहीं कर सकता. It was not only a problem of famine in terms of food, it was a problem of India's existential philosophy. Can we as Indians survive, manage and develop or not? हमारा पूरा nation building was a question mark for us. और understand 61 का वॉर भी हो गया. Okay, हमारे ब्रिटिश से हमारे टाइम में तो हमने वॉर भी नहीं होने दिया था, और वॉर जो भी हुआ था वी फॉट इन यूरोप, आपके बॉर्डर में वॉर हो गया. So all of this was a huge political, economic, social pressure on us, and it was almost becoming a foreign policy collapse. And look at the context here. Context देखो आप. 55 Korean War में India did not support US. India said we'll go non-aligned way. Okay. US was very upset with this because India was kind of boycotting, and Russia had walked out of the UN. Okay. India was supporting China in the Mao Zedong's rise, and we had a war there itself. ऐसे condition में, when I have famines, who do I go to? I go to UK. UK says हमारे पास कहाँ से आएगा इतना खाना? You are as much population, we can't feed you. We go to Russia कि भाई आप हमें help करो. Russia says आपको बॉम्ब चाहिए बॉम्ब ले लो, मिग चाहिए मिग ले लो, खाना तो हमारे पास भी नहीं है, हम कहां से खाना लेके आएंगे आपके लिए? यूएस के पास गए तो बेटा अब आया ऊंट पहाड़ के नीचे, तो बहुत दिखा रहे थे अपनी तो ताकत दिखा रहे थे, हम ये नहीं करेंगे, नॉन अलाइंड मूवमेंट, डेमोक्रेसी, अब आओ भीख मांगने आओ हमारे पास में. एंड यूएस गेव अस PL 480 ह्यूमिलेटिंग टर्म्स में हमें खा, इट्स ऑलमोस्ट लाइक वी आर बेगिंग बोल देयर. It was a dive, nose dive in terms of our credibility. Okay, so ये सारा हमें बहुत impact हुआ, and it's not without reason they say that Nehru's death 64 में was partly because of all this crisis he couldn't get out of. Okay, China war, okay, the US having this problem, the problem of India losing credibility, Kashmir issue में, plebiscite वो जो भी हुआ issue हुआ, उसके ऊपर में we find Russia can't support us, famines हो जा रहा है, तो Nehru couldn't take that kind of humiliation pressure, and no wonder he died. So it is in this backdrop that we said अब तो कुछ करना पड़ेगा हमें. Okay, the first 5-year plan, 50-55 वाला, this was a plan we said agriculture can on its own manage. Second 5-year plan was 55, 56, 60, और यहां पर हमारा collapse शुरू हुआ. So the first 5-year plan was very nice. ठीक ठाक रहा, agriculture did well, we are very, very happy, good productivity, farmers come back, no famines. Second 5-year plan we said we'll focus on industries. Agriculture को हमने neglect नहीं किया. We said agriculture पे हमें faith है, भरोसा है, ये संभाल लेगा अपने आप को. But what happened was droughts, wars, global meltdown, no food for us, and the humiliating US PL 480 treaty for food as aid for India. कहते हैं ना कि if somebody really has pride, the worst can happen with him is that if he begs for food. बाकी सब में यार प्राइड में हो जाएगा मैनेज, पर जब खाने को नहीं है और आप जाओगे यार खाने के लिए हेल्प कर दो, इट्स अ वेरी वेरी टेरिबल फीलिंग. India faced that type of humiliation. So this is where we said, now we must change the game here. Okay, and 1966 we launched the FYP program, fast yielding FIV program, sorry. FYV program, informally called as the Green Revolution. So जब आप program discuss करते हो ना, always remember this. You must know the contextual development also. हम वो क्यों कर रहे हैं? Why are we doing what are we doing? Why are we agreeing to some issues even if it can have problems in the future? Say India supporting Russia in Ukraine war. Don't discuss just कि India support कर रहा है or whatever, or neutral. Give us a context क्या है बताओ. Context ये है कि India is living in a world which is very, very in a flux. Confusion है. We do not know who ultimately will dominate. In a condition where China is very aggressive with us, we can't afford to lose an ally who has been with us all through. Okay, context ये है कि US unreliable है. Like, you never know how US changes colors overnight. Okay, और ये भी fact है, I need energy for myself. ये भी fact है that India is a victim of some of those border transgressions. जब भी आप discuss करो foreign policy, agriculture, economy, don't forget the contextual development क्या चल रहा है. What is our story in case of Israel Hamas? Okay, context बहुत important है. वो conditions क्या हैं when we are doing this? So why did India say, okay, that we are okay not focusing on agriculture? क्या reason था? Reason was we had faith in agriculture. And क्या reason है? Why we go aggressive here? This context is very, very important. The turmoil India was in, पैसे नहीं है, खाना नहीं है, droughts हो गया, war हो गया. We are refused assistance from some of our partnering countries. Okay, we are the largest Commonwealth country, but UK does not have money to support us in terms of food. So in this context, we say the Green Revolution is the way forward. ठीक है? So Green Revolution, more than a modernization program, it was a crisis management program. ये भी आप समझें. While looking back and say ये अच्छा हुआ, वो बुरा हुआ, ठीक है. Fundamentally, Green Revolution was like a disaster management for us. कि अगर नहीं करोगे, development छोड़ो, लोग भूखे मर जाएंगे. Your existential crisis हो जाएगा आपका. कि India as a nation, does it deserve to be a nation or not in the first place? Don't forget that also. So now give a heading, Green Revolution of India. Green Revolution for India. तो ये जो programs है ना, don't study these programs mechanically. Pluses minus खत्म हो गया. No. ये programs में ना you'll have to start feeling for what India is doing. आपको conviction होना चाहिए कि उस time में ना ये सही था. Then the problem is कि सर ये issues भी बन गए. Issue is not Green Revolution. Issue is after the objective of food was met, हम उसको change नहीं कर रहे हैं. It's like, I have a nail to hammer. Okay. अगर nail है तो थोड़ा जोर से मारो उसको, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. अब nail जा चुका है, मेरा उंगली आ चुका है. Okay. And because I start with the hammer, मैंने अब वैसे भी अभी भी मारना है. Have you got the point here? The problem is not Green Revolution. The problem is not changing our tactics once the objectives of food was addressed. हमने शुरू कर दिया, momentum में वही करे जा रहे हैं. Okay. So our problem is by 80s, we should have shifted dramatically away from the Green Revolution technology. Anyway, I'll come back on this. नहीं, Sekulin, ये बड़े powerful words हैं. Is second 5-year plan a failure? Because failure is a very, very extreme word. बहुत बार, okay, even we do not know the answers, but we must do something there. And please realize, economic planning as a concept for a just decolonized country is a very new concept. I mean, some of you have done that with me. The development theories कब बन रहे थे? 55 में बना है growth pole theory, right? So theory बना दिया, अब वो सही है या नहीं? Okay, somebody must tell that to us, no? And India was the first country to adopt it. It's like, no, you have got laggards and early adopters. Okay, so we have no other choice. Just try and do something. Failure would have been if we had not tried anything and kept quiet about it. But we tried, and don't say second 5-year plan was failure. In fact, the roots of modern industrial development was second 5-year plan. आज भी आप बात करते हो स्टील प्लांट्स के बारे में, यू टॉक अबाउट राउरकेला स्टील प्लांट, भिलाई स्टील प्लांट, बोकारो स्टील प्लांट एंड दुर्गापुर से, ये बात करते हो और क्या बोलते हो आप? लुक एट द हिस्ट्री ऑफ डैम्स इन इंडिया. It was the beginnings was second 5-year plan. Most of our PSUs जब भी बने थे आपके, starting from BHEL to NALCO and the rest, उस टाइम में बन रहे हैं आपके. But yes, second 5-year plan didn't anticipate कि इंडिया में ये प्रॉब्लम भी हो सकता है. And we suffered, we learned, and we quickly also repivoted towards agricultural focused development. Yeah, so failure is a strong word. And when you have planning, planning must be aggressive planning. इसे बोलते हैं ना कि बजट अगर डेफिसिट है तो अच्छा है, because it tells us you had higher goals और आप इतना मीट कर पाए हो. अगर आप मॉडेस्ट गोल्स रखोगे तो पक्का मीट करोगे ना. सर टारगेट क्या है? सर आधा घंटा पढ़ लेना है आज, और मैंने 1 घंटा पढ़ लिया. आई हैव ओवर शॉर्ट माय बजट, सो जाओ 5 दिन के लिए. यू टारगेट कि मुझे खत्म करना है, XYZ किताब खत्म नहीं हुआ तो 80% हो गया. दैट्स योर अचीवमेंट. सो 5-year प्लान्स हो या कोई भी प्लानिंग अप्रोच है, okay, you are not supposed to achieve everything to quite a success. If you ask me, okay, जो आपका स्वच्छ भारत अभियान है, सक्सेस है फेलियर है? That's a very bad question. स्वच्छ भारत अभियान is a part of habit formation. एक आइडिया तो घुसा दिमाग के अंदर ना कि सफाई भी जरूरी है. गिल्ट तो है कम से कम कि खा के ही फेंक दिया है, कोई देखा तो नहीं टाइप्स. It's a habit formation. It takes time. But the awareness that India's development must include cleanliness also, that's a huge achievement. कम से कम डस्टबिन दिखते तो हैं अब, कम से कम पहले वो दिखाई भी नहीं देते थे. Okay, so failure is a very strong word. You must learn to do something else in terms of discussing what the gaps are. ठीक है? So let's start off now quickly. So I gave you the whole story more or less. Green Revolution. It is officially called as your high yielding variety program, HYV program बोलते हैं. It's called as high yielding variety program, HYV program. Green Revolution was launched in 1965-66. और इस टाइम में हमारा प्लानिंग भी हमने छोड़ दिया है. प्लानिंग छोड़ो, अब एनुअल प्लान करते हैं. सर्वाइव तो कर जाए पहले हम लोग, राइट? सो इट वाज लॉन्च्ड इन 65-66. Green Revolution was a response to India's agricultural crisis. Response to India's agricultural crisis. ठीक है? Green Revolution, okay, इंडिया में it was on a project experiment basis पे it was first tried. It was tried as a project experiment. इंडिया में एक चल रहा था pilot project. We call this as intensive area district program and intensive agriculture area program. Intensive agricultural district program IADP था and IAAP था. Okay, intensive agriculture area program. Intensive Agriculture District Program. It got modified as IAAP. Okay, and this was based on the success of high yielding variety technology developed by Norman Borlaug. He died recently, a couple of years ago. Norman Borlaug, he was a Nobel laureate based on high yielding variety technology of Norman Borlaug. And this technology, okay, this was successful in Mexico, and it was successful in Philippines. Mexico mein they had tried wheat, Philippines mein they had tried rice, and it was successful. A technology by Norman Borlaug, and working for an institute called as Rockefeller Institute. Okay, and successful in Mexico and in Philippines. ठीक है, इस टेक्नोलॉजी में क्या था? It was developing a hybrid seed which was dwarf variety. Dwarf मतलब छोटा, dwarf variety, and it was very intensive water and fertilizer use variety. Developing a hybrid seed which was a dwarf variety, and it was intensive water and fertilizer use based था इसका. ठीक है, and the yield, okay, in some instances was 15 times more than the yield of the traditional seeds. The yield in some instances was more than 15 times some of the traditional seeds. एक नया टेक्नोलॉजी ही है ये वाला. It was a complete new technology. You can grow more, okay, from the same land. Now see, so this was essentially a productivity revolution. It was a productivity revolution. का मतलब क्या है? It was grow more from the same land. It was productivity revolution. An important point. So if you look at post-independence, agriculture performance, post-independence agriculture performance, 1947 say, okay, and the first 5-year plan, ये जो phase था, approximately 47 से लेकर 55 तक, almost 10 years, agricultural, okay, development and increase in production. Okay, if you look at post-independence agriculture between 47-55, ये जो phase था आपका, this was a phase of agriculture development. It was a phase of productivity, increased production because of area expansion. Because of area expansion and because of okay, allowing farmers to grow without कोअर्शन। हमने इसमें कुछ खास किया नहीं था, हमने यहां पे एक्चुअली करना बंद कर दिया था, राइट? द फार्मर्स ग्रू मोर फूड, व्हाई? बिकॉज मोर लैंड वाज कल्टिवेटेड, एरिया एक्सपेंशन किया हमने, एंड वी टोल्ड द फार्मर्स, ओके, ग्रो व्हाटएवर यू वांट टू ग्रो, आपकी मर्जी है। फार्मर सेड, ओके, लेट्स ग्रो नाउ ग्रेन, let's grow rice. So the expansion of wheat production and the expansion of rice production was because farmers were allowed to grow rice. पहले क्या था? You can't grow rice, grow indigo. You can't grow wheat, grow cotton. You can't grow pulses, you must grow maybe jute. हम कोर्स कर रहे थे ना। So post independence में जो भी डेवलपमेंट था, whatever production increase है, it is because of area expansion, and it was more of a political thing, get out of the farmers way. But यहां पर कुछ और चल रहा है. This increase is productivity expansion, and this is technology driven. This is investments driven. It requires new methods. ये पूरी फार्मिंग के सिस्टम को ये चेंज कर रहा है. आई होप आप डिफरेंशिएट कर पा रहे हो, ऑल ऑफ यू हियर. आई ग्रो मोर राइस हियर बिकॉज मोर लैंड इज नाउ कल्टिवेटेड. मोर राइस बिकॉज फार्मर सेज अब हम जूट नहीं करेंगे, अब हम राइस करेंगे. यहां पर इट्स अ चेंज इन द एंटायर अप्रोच. इट इज अ टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन अप्रोच. ओके, it is driven by investments. We have investments, पैसे लगाओ. It is new methods of farming. So irrigation infrastructure बन रहा है. नए seeds you are now creating. You're talking about fertilizer input डालो आप, not just manure. So this is a very different approach compared to our pre-green revolution phase. Is it okay, all of you here? That's why we say that the green revolution marked a change towards technology driven modernization. It was technology driven modernization of agriculture. Okay, so HYV seeds एक टेक्नोलॉजी है. ट्यूब वेल्स आर अ टेक्नोलॉजी. यूज ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर्स आर अ टेक्नोलॉजी. एनकरेजिंग ट्रांसप्लांटेशन ऑफ राइस, ये पहले नहीं था हमारा इतना पॉपुलर. ओके, ट्रांसप्लांटेशन इज द जापानीज मेथड ऑफ कल्टीवेशन, हमने ये ऐड कर दिया. दिस इज ओवरहॉल ऑफ आवर फार्मिंग सिस्टम. एंड टू डू दिस गवर्नमेंट सेड्स हम आपको लोन देंगे, हम MSP बना देंगे, grow some crops more, I'll give you more profits. The objective was make the farmers grow more rice, incentive दो उनको, make them grow more wheat. So इसका objective क्या था? Objective was increase our food production. हमें जल्दी खाना चाहिए और बहुत खाना चाहिए. I do not have time because my people will die of hunger otherwise. ठीक है? So green revolution was marked by a change towards technology driven modernization of agriculture. तो इसका strategy क्या था? What was the strategy in this? Strategy was number one, replace the traditional seeds with HYV seeds. Okay, जो भी ट्रेडिशनल है उसको हटाओ. Now we need hybrid seeds, HYV seeds, high yielding variety seeds. ये strategy है हमारा. Strategy is focus on areas where agriculture investments will yield fast outcomes. कि वहां पैसे लगाओ जहां से कि I can get more food very fast. Focused on areas where agriculture investments will yield fast outcomes. Okay, देखो, ध्यान रहे that our objective is, भाई, for heaven's sake, famines नहीं होना चाहिए. No famines. And I want the result fast. I have a seed जो कभी farmer पहले कभी use किया नहीं है. Okay, so I must take it to a farmer who is willing to experiment fast. Okay, एक ऐसा seed दे रहा हूं जिसमें बहुत पानी चाहिए. I cannot go to an area which is dry area और जहां पे irrigation नहीं है. मैं डैम बनाऊंगा, I'll make a canal and then I don't have time for that. जल्दी करो. जल्दी मैं said go to place जहां पर ट्यूबवेल है already और नहीं है तो फटाफट लगाओ. I'm having a technology where the farmer must invest in fertilizers also. So I can't go to a poor farmer, I'll go to a rich farmer. ठीक है? The condition was that I had to be selective in getting my work done. I have a new technology. I need a lot of water. I need a lot of investments. I need a farmer who is willing to take risk also. ऐसा farmer कौन होगा? He cannot be a poor farmer. He can't be a landless laborer. It cannot be a dry region of India that does not have agriculture. I need a farmer who is a rich farmer, willing to invest in technology, who has seen agricultural prosperity. जब भी उसका risk taking ability ज़्यादा होगा. Okay, and the area we found was Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, parts of Northern Rajasthan. ये area historically has always been agriculturally more prosperous. और वहां पर भी we said, pick up the rich farmers first, quickly. Irrigation चाहिए, don't make dams. फटाफट वहीं पे लगाओ tube wells. Overnight, okay, within 1 week, the tube well is ready. Now start farming quickly. ठीक है? ये हमारा strategy deliberate था. So if I'm focusing on areas where agriculture investments will yield outcomes, means what? Okay, we opted for okay, Punjab, Haryana, Western UP and Northern Rajasthan, which has a history of agricultural prosperity, risk-taking farmers, risk-taking farmers, with prospects for expansion of tube wells, because the HYV seed है, उसको पानी चाहिए. It needs more water. This is a deliberate strategy. ये गलती से नहीं हुआ था. Okay, I can't go to Telangana. I can't go to Vidarbha. I can't go to hill areas. I can't go to parts of Eastern UP, Bihar, where farmers are already poor. Okay, so we chose this. And the third important strategy was that we focused on food grains. Because देखो, main objective क्या था? No hunger, right? No hunger में will I focus on nutritional diet? ऐसे यार vitamins छोड़ो, rice wheat तो खा लो कम से कम. I am looking not at balanced diet नहीं देख रहे हैं हम. मुझे फटाफट खाना. Rice wheat is our staple food. Okay, invest there. Our focus was not fruits, vegetables, horticulture, poultry. सब छोड़ो, ये सब बाद में करेंगे हम लोग. So deliberately we focused on food grains, particularly, okay, rice, wheat, jawar. Jawar is very important food crop. Plus potato also we, okay, introduced. दाल चावल आलू है तो survive कर लोगे ना. It's a very deliberate thing. You might look back and say, सब pulses नहीं किया. You can look back and say, we have not done oil seeds. What about fruits? What about milk? भैया वो agenda नहीं है. Survive तो कर जाओ पहले. Okay, सर अभी मेरा बना नहीं है personality. मैंने कहा निकाल लो prelims पहले. Okay, then we'll talk about personality. सर body नहीं बना अभी. Okay, कट ऑफ ले आओ, बॉडी बन जाएगा. I hope you got the point here. So you must appreciate that this was a deliberate thing. So हम बोलते हैं ना, in the normative theories, don't criticize the assumptions. तो स्कॉलर पहले से बता रहे हैं, क्रिस्टल इज टेलिंग पहले से कि माइंड इज नॉर्मेटिव थ्योरी. अब वही कॉलर पकड़ लो भाई, नॉर्मेटिव थ्योरी. अरे मैं बोल रहा हूं नॉर्मेटिव है यार. आई एम एक्सेप्टिंग आइसोट्रोपिक सरफेस, आई एम अज्यूमिंग. ओके, you can't criticize a theory on its assumptions because वो कह रहे assumptions हैं. I hope you got the point here. The same thing here. You can't criticize the strategy जो deliberate है. And we are doing this for a purpose. This is not for ensuring कि India has modern agriculture. No, India has good food. Let's stress on this. See Green Revolution as a crisis management for India. See it as a disaster management for India, not agriculture modernization. बाकी हो गया, that's coincidence. कि रोड भी बन गए, irrigation भी हो गया, markets भी हो गया, very nice. But Green Revolution was not supposed to be a panacea for agriculture backwardness. That should not have been our objective. All fine here? Add one point. Green Revolution, therefore, was a crisis management approach. Was therefore crisis management approach to address India's imminent famine threat. To address India's imminent famine threat. And it was not designed for agricultural development and environmental sustainability. Agriculture development and environmental sustainability, which are objectives today. ठीक है, आपके एग्जाम्पल में मेरा फोकस है कोर्स खत्म करना, ना कि आपका हैंडराइटिंग अच्छा बनाना. ओके, हैंडराइटिंग अच्छा बनाना एज अ लग्जरी. हो गया तो अच्छी बात है, अभी समझ तो नहीं कम से कम हम लोग. ठीक है, सो एट दैट टाइम environment issues was handwriting सब ठीक करना. It is a luxury for us. I'm dying of hunger. You can't complain about कि groundwater कम रहा है. I'm dying of famines. I can't complain about we are using too much of chemicals. It was a necessity. All fine here? So what's the context? What's the objective? And what is the strategy? And which crops did we focus on? So can I say one thing? That Green Revolution deliberately was region specific, deliberately was crop specific, and also was farmers specific. Can I say this? Region specific, it has now become regional imbalances. Crop specific, there is neglect of lot of crops eventually. And farmer specific, it was not meant for small and the marginal farmers. हमें rich farmers ही चाहिए थे, who had a lot of land to cultivate and to invest in terms of irrigation. So Green Revolution deliberately was a region specific strategy, a crop specific strategy, and a farmer specific strategy. ठीक है? So now what was the outcome? Outcome, I think most of us know. No, the Varga. Okay, don't so don't ultimately ban jayega, but not that way. HYVs we have across, yes, across crops now. But it began with rice, wheat, potatoes, and jawar. ये 3-4 crops में maximum था. अब तो HYV हर crop में है. Hardly any crop left jahan par we do not have this type of seeds, including sugarcane also. We started with, yes, it is one type of genetic engineering, correct? Okay, fine. Outcome kya hai? Outcome, what were the positives? Positives, okay, that famine averted. Famine averted. We became an agriculture and food grain surplus country within 2 years. We became an agriculture and food grain surplus country. I mean, now you understand, no? When Shastri ji comes and says, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, इसका contextual basis है. अब चाइना से हार के निकल रहे हो, तो यस, जय जवान तो बनता ही है. और एग्रीकल्चर की बात हो रही है, तो जय किसान बनता है. So these slogans are not in vacuum. They have a history behind what we are doing. And within 2 years, you know, the best part here, क्या हुआ पता है? When the farmers got the yield, उनको पता नहीं था कि इतना yield हो जाएगा. Okay. So when they harvested, there had no space for storing. And they kept the crop in the open field. And it rained. Rains mein your crop again gets spoiled, right? Lot of it was spoiled. Even then we had enough to take care of India's food problem. और यही time में we expanded the PDS systems, the ration card systems, and thankfully since then, India has never faced the threat of a national level famine. So Green Revolution in many ways, we say, is the history of India's agriculture modernization. The rural focus raha, PDS systems raha. Today we talk about Food Security Act की बात करते हैं. ये सबका roots goes back to Green Revolution. The momentous events हैं, they change the face of what a country ultimately becomes. Okay, so fine. So famine averted. Okay, food grain surplus country from mere 50 million tons of food grains. By 1980s, we were producing 200 million tons of food grains. 15 साल, 10 साल के अंदर में, okay, we are producing, almost 4 times our food grains. From 50 million tons, 80s we were producing 200 million tons. Today we are touching and crossing how much? Anybody? Any idea? Yes, around 350 million tons. We are among the largest food grain producing country of the world. A huge achievement here. Hamara productivity, on average, it increased by 3 times. On average, our productivity increased by 3 times. Okay. The productivity increase for wheat was more. Almost 4 times increase हुआ wheat के लिए. Rice थोड़ा कम था. The productivity increase, wheat was a bit more, around 4 times increase था. Rice was a bit less, around 2 point something was rice productivity increase. ठीक है? ये achievements हैं. And it became the basis of India's successful PDS system. जो राशन कार्ड सिस्टम है, okay, PDS सिस्टम, और ये अभी भी चल रहा है. नहीं शिवम, फूड ट्रेड बहुत बाद में हुआ, अब हम कर रहे हैं. Otherwise, for bulk of our history, our consumption internally was very, very high. Yes, okay, fine. The PDS system is success. Okay. There was rural infrastructure development. In agriculture, ये 4 important components हैं for rural infrastructure. What are they? Number 1 is irrigation infrastructure. Canals भी हैं, tubewells भी हैं. Irrigation infrastructure. Second is transport infrastructure, roads infrastructure. The third is storage and marketing infrastructure. जो AFMC वगैरह जो है आपका, and agriculture markets जो हैं, it starts from here. So I said one is your irrigation infrastructure, road connectivity, storage marketing, and fourth is the infrastructure related to farm machinery. farm machinery, including fertilizer, pesticides, sowing and harvesting technologies. Fertilizers, pesticides, sowing technologies and harvesting technologies. Ye sara we witnessed after the Green Revolution. And I think the most important achievement was that agriculture was now recognized as an essential element of India's sovereignty. A country cannot be free till the time it is not a food self-reliant. India's liberty, freedom depends on our ability to grow our own food. It depends on our ability to sustain our survival needs. So we linked agriculture, rural development to India's sovereignty. अगर आपने ये हटा दिया, then you are gone. Then there's no point in any development that you have. Fine here? So that takes care of the positives. So maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs. इसपे ना हम, when I do case studies on this, Ajay will add something specifics there. He'll discuss Punjab specifically kahan par kaise hua tha, but we'll keep it there for additional support for you. But for now, it's done. Now come towards what was the negatives of Green Revolution. What was the negatives? Primarily, 3 problems. 3 problems. One is disparity, which was a regional disparity. There was crop disparity, and there's also farmers disparity. हम बता रहे हैं ये तो रूट्स है बिकॉज वो डिजाइन था हमारा. पंजाब हरियाणा ग्रोस, बुंदेलखंड, तेलंगाना, विदर्भा रीजन, द हिल रीजन्स वर इग्नोर्ड, डेलिबरेटली इग्नोर्ड. वो ऑब्जेक्टिव ही नहीं था. राइस एंड वीट ग्रो वेरी फास्ट, pulses ignored, oil seeds ignored. We did not have as much investments in horticulture. And who grew where? The rich farmers. The small marginal farmers were left out. And then I say, see this partly as the consequence of the strategy, which was deliberate but not removed once the objectives were met. This was the biggest problem of Green Revolution, which is disparities, regional disparities, crop disparities, and farmers disparities. लिखा आपने? So crop में there was extreme focus on rice, wheat, neglect of 3 important crops: pulses, millets, and oilseeds. Pulses, millets, and oilseeds. And somewhere our nutritional inadequacy se linked hai. The kind of problems we have in hunger is linked to this partly. We ignored pulses, millets, and oilseeds. Crop disparity ho gaya. Region disparity mein the main areas jo benefit kar paye, there were 5 areas: Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, Northern Rajasthan, Ganganagar district jo hai. And the 5th area is the Kaveri Basin. What is Punjab, Haryana for northern India? Kaveri Basin is for southern India. 5 areas benefited from Green Revolution and their development. Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, Northern Rajasthan, I said Ganganagar. Ganganagar district, Northern Rajasthan, and Kaveri Basin. And farmers, there was neglect of small and marginal farmers. Rich farmers, landed class, they benefited. ये एक allegation है. Second allegation is the environmental Okay, reverses. The second is environmental reverses. Okay, which was groundwater depletion, problems of salinization, okay, fertilizer and pesticides contamination, fertilizers and pesticides contamination, and problems of toxins in food products. Problems of toxins, जो हम इसको बोलते हैं PR and FR problem, fertilizer residue problem and pesticides residue problem. You always say, no, you should wash your food properly and all of that. The problems of toxins which are fertilizer residues, and there are pesticide residues. Okay, so disparities, problems of your environment. The third problem is unsustainable economics. Unsustainable economics leading to unsustainable pricing policies. इसका बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल है द अनरियलिस्टिक MSPs. देखो, MSP बुरा नहीं है, रिमेंबर दिस. Okay, lot of us criticize, sir, MSP is artificial support, and if you do this we make the farmers lazy. बहुत खराब आर्ग्यूमेंट है. अगर आप सपोर्ट देखोगे बेटा, हर चीज में you have subsidies. Your health has subsidies, education has subsidies, your train fare has subsidies, your water bill has subsidies, आपके पावर सप्लाई में सब्सिडीज हैं. तो सारा सब्सिडी आपको सिर्फ फार्मर केस में दिखाई देता है, नॉट इन द रेस्ट. तो स्टॉप सब्सिडीज, आप सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाओगे, यू कांट सर्वाइव. ठीक है, द प्रॉब्लम इज नॉट MSP, द प्रॉब्लम इज अनरियलिस्टिकली हाई MSP. एंड एग्रीकल्चर एक ऐसा सेक्टर है, it cannot compete without support. It's like, in my family, I have a small child and maybe I have a grown-up child. If I say equality ke naam pe, I give them exactly same conditions, the small child will never develop. Uska requirement hai that I have to support him extra. Agriculture cannot survive in unregulated competition with industries and services sector. Rural areas can't survive in unregulated competition with urban areas. भाई यही झगड़ा तो है डेवलपिंग डेवलप्ड का. The developed world says developing is unfair in subsidies. हम बोले यार आप करते हो तो फेयर है, हम करते खराब हो गया. Right? If I want to compete with a developed nation, I have to support my farmers. I cannot support without subsidies. I can't support without pricing tools manipulated in favor of the developing countries. The same applies within India. So the narrative है कि MSP is bad and it's uneconomical. No, MSP is our commitment. आपको करना ही पड़ेगा. The problem is some upper limit रखो. MSP is a support for distress farming. अगर इससे नीचे आएगा, don't worry, I'll take care of you. But when I increase it too much, then the problem is it becomes uncompetitive. So इसके वजह से there's lot of uneconomical spending in agriculture, which is a problem. It's impacting our economics of social sector spending. So I'll add on this here that MSP unfortunately is reduced to a political tool alone. MSP is reduced to a political tool alone. And hence, farming pricing policies have become unsustainable. But the solution is not abolition of MSP. Remember this. The solution is not abolition of MSP or subsidies. Solution is rationalization of subsidies and MSP. Rationalization of MSP and subsidies. कि सही दो, सही आदमी को पहुंचना चाहिए, सही टाइम में मिलना चाहिए, and maybe across a range of crops. अच्छा एक और चीज प्रॉब्लम है, I mean I'm going there, but ठीक है, I'll explain this to you. See, MSP अपने आप में enough नहीं है. MSP is what? The minimum support a government will give if the prices fall. Correct? तो मैंने कहा कि भाई for profitable agriculture, okay, I'll give you 5 rupees per kg of this crop. Okay, and I know it can fall to 3. 5 अगर होगा तो farmer assured है, he'll cultivate. Okay, but I want the market to give him 8 कि जाके market में बेचो यार. But imagine market is 3, you are giving 5, but you say MSP announce तो कर दिया, मैं खरीदूंगा नहीं आपसे. The two different things. MSP must be supported with procurement also. अगर आपको MSP बोला 5 rupees और मैं ले ही नहीं रहा हूं, no procurement, कि मैंने प्रॉमिस किया था MSP बता दूंगा, मैंने कब प्रॉमिस किया था I'll procure it. तो ऐसे MSP क्या फायदा है? Okay, got the point here? So while MSP is announced for I think 22, 23 crops, the procurement proper is only for 6-7 crops. As good as saying कि बाकी में MSP हो ना हो. How does it matter? So MSP का बहुत सारे एंगल्स हैं और हम क्यों नहीं प्रोक्योर कर रहे हैं? बिकॉज हमारा स्टोरेज सिस्टम भरा हुआ है, हम लेके हम रखेंगे कहां पर? सो आवर प्रॉब्लम इज स्टोरेज सिस्टम्स. एफसीआई के गोडाउन्स जो है ना, दे आर नॉट मैनेज्ड वेल. सो व्हाइल आई शुड बाय, आई कैन बाय, आई नीड टू बाय, बट आई डोंट हैव प्लेस फॉर स्टॉकिंग एंड फॉर प्रोसेसिंग. So MSP का कहानी is far more than simply, okay, it is exploitative. It's not as simple as that. Anyways, so this culture started with the Green Revolution. But please understand that the roots of this problem kahin aur hai. The roots is we don't have, okay, land reforms. The roots is our infrastructure is still strained. The roots are, okay, our investments agriculture में अभी भी कम है. Okay, the flaw is we don't have a good processing system after harvest. It's not simply about green revolution is the problem. All good here? So conclusion here is that green revolution served the purpose for which it was created, for which it was launched. It served the purpose for which it was launched. India succeeded in averting famine crisis. India succeeded in averting famine crisis. India has the potential to develop into granary for the world. India has the potential to develop into granary for the world. But Indian agriculture needs a comprehensive range of reforms. A comprehensive range of reforms. primarily around land ownership and land use. Land ownership and land use, along with post-harvest processing and marketing reforms. Post-harvest processing and marketing reforms. Some of you were there, not the rest, while I was discussing the Khalistan problem as a part of national security. And we said, Khalistan problem, or the demand for Khalistan, you can see it as two problems. One is that it is a secessionist movement that is trying to break India's territorial integrity. वो एक problem है. The second problem is the roots of the demand is lack of employment, lack of economic opportunities for the Punjab's youth, जो manifest होता है कि India is neglecting us. So Khalistan problem can be seen as a security problem, or you can see that as a political economy problem. The issue is the roots have वो economic roots हैं. The roots are job नहीं है, employment नहीं है. Okay, agriculture is shrinking in Punjab, and there's a youth that is frustrated. If you keep looking at Khalistan problem as a security problem, the solution is always send the army. Okay, make your UAPA more strong. Okay, you have to punish and treat them as terrorists. But वो करने से आपका root problem solve नहीं हो रहा है. We say Khalistan problem has its roots in the economic systems and the reforms which have not adapted to the changing economics. Yes, unemployment, frustration, ambitions, plus security problem vis-a-vis Pakistan. The consequence एक drug issue भी है वहां पर, drug angle भी है. But the roots of the problem is not security, remember this. The roots is, it is an economic problem. You can trace it back to the unsustainable green revolution practices which have not been changed suitably after the need was met. If you can link it, it'll help you appreciate the issue in much better way. Akshay, again, for most of us, your verdicts are based on hearsay. Hearsay क्या होता है? आपस में सुन लिया, बात कर लिया, नुक्कड़ में बैठ के चाय पीते पीते, okay, you have decided what's good, what's bad. Most of you have not read articles on issues. Most of you don't appreciate, okay, the roots of the problem. तो आप लोग डिस्कस करते हो ना, आई एम वेरी कॉन्शियस अबाउट दैट. आई एनकरेज नो कि डिस्कशन करना भी है तो एक मॉडरेटेड ग्रुप में करो, जिसमें कम से कम एक आदमी पढ़ा लिखा तो हो उसमें. ओके, दो लोग बात कर रहे हैं फुल ऑफ इमोशंस, कुछ आइडिया नहीं है अबाउट व्हाट्स हैपनिंग, एंड यू हैव पास्ड अ वर्डिक्ट. ओके, दैट्स सो अनफॉर्चुनेट. So yeah, I'm not telling you, Akshay, I'm just saying in general. Okay, farm reforms अच्छा था या बुरा था, it is not something, okay, I can pass a judgment in one sentence. And that's where you need the article reading skills. Okay, so reform zaruri hai. Some of the components were addressed by the reforms, but many components not addressed. Okay, and the communication was an issue again. So overall, I think, okay, again, you know, एक और नरेटिव देखा मैंने कि सर इंटेंशन तो अच्छा था. See, when you evaluate anything, no, फॉर हेवन सेक इंटेंशन को उससे हटा दो, बिकॉज इंटेंशन इज समथिंग I can never confirm nor measure. You always talk in terms of what was the impact. देखिए, चलते हुए लड़की को छेड़ दिया, तो इंटेंशन अच्छा था, अरे क्या अच्छा इंटेंशन था? Trying to motivate her that she is beautiful or whatever. I hope you got the point here. Intention is a फालतू word, useless word. Intention we can never confirm, and intention I want to believe अच्छा ही होगा. Okay, हमें impact outcome देखना है. I don't care about intention. काम टारगेट में होना चाहिए. Okay, I don't care about intention. The policies you make must have positive impacts. If you make a law and the majority is on the wrong side of law, the law is an ass. Okay, अगर लॉ बना रहे हो and the bulk of people उस लॉ से नेगेटिव इंपैक्ट हो रहा है, फिर लॉ बनाने के तरीके में इशू है. फिर इंटेंशन अच्छा है, हम करके छोड़ नहीं सकते. The government has all institutions, all experts with itself. It can't afford to only talk in terms of intentions. हमें outcomes चाहिए. The Punjab crisis is essentially a crisis of unemployment and lack of job opportunities and growth. Punjab is, okay, you can say a microcosm of what India will see in the coming years when the youth population goes through the roof and the economy has limits. Okay, जो पंजाब में हो रहा है, okay, this is telling us what's waiting for other parts of India. Punjab has seen incredible prosperity. Their income, per capita income, okay, even levels of social development, incredible. But जब collapse होता है, if they don't change, you know what it can ultimately lead to. So this is green revolution ko evaluate it in that context. Subhashri will come to it afterwards. Okay, slowly, gradually. अभी तो एक ही program पढ़ाया है. There are 3-4 of them I must get into. Okay, by the way, I'm continuing for some more time. Okay, I'm done with green revolution now. Okay, I'll introduce an idea, then I'll let you go. Take a fresh page. Dry land farming. Dry land farming. Now, if you ask me, these topics are not simply course completion. ये topic आपका essays, social issues, okay, your interview, इसमें ना आपको convictions चाहिए. A very powerful belief systems जो आपको हिला नहीं पाएगा. No matter what example you give me, you not shake me from the fact that India ka development can't happen without agriculture. You can't shake me from the fact that kuch principles of nation building hai. If you compromise that, you are creating a problem in the future. There are some principles of and the processes of how governance must operate. You compromise that, you will have problems. आज नहीं कल होगा problems. तो ऐसे issues को ना, you have to feel and not merely read and tick off. These are emotional issues where we want to see you participate at a passionate level. ठीक है? Anyways, dry land farming of India. Now, quickly, what is the reality in terms of agro geographical conditions? India का, please keep writing, please. Yes, yes, case studies भी हैं. Okay, आप ही केस बन जाओगे बेटा एक साल के बाद में. ठीक है? All continues. And that's why I keep telling this to you. Second half में please classes मत रखो. Second half should be your self-study time with additional studies. कुछ जाना है आप जाएं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. The reality of India's agro-geographical conditions. Okay, reality is इंडिया में जो रेनफॉल है इट इज 117-118 centimeters per year, and this is very high, and India is a wet country on an average. ठीक है, इंडिया का रेनफॉल जो है एनुअल रेनफॉल इज 117-118 centimeters per year, which is fairly high. अच्छा खास, any number above 70-80 को high बोलते हैं हम. Okay, and India is a wet country on an average. What I mean by average? जैसे आपका सर okay, पानी में डुबा दूं which has 40 degree centigrade temperature, and your feet in -10 centigrade temperature. Can I say on average you are comfortable? Okay, average आपका 15 बन जाता है. एकदम स्प्रिंग सीजन है. ठीक है, I hope you got the point here. These averages are actually misleading because the fact is more than 2/3 of India is semi-arid and it is arid. 2/3 of India is semi-arid and arid with rainfall less than 75 centimeters. With rains less than 75 centimeters. ठीक है? So India is essentially a variant of savanna climate. Let's accept that. Okay, deserts नहीं है but semi-arid region है. That's one. Third point is India has okay, a fair dominance of highlands and mountains. अगर आप mountain और highlands मिला दें, okay, the physiographic dominance of this is more than the plains and the river basins. Maharashtra plateau, Telangana plateau, छत्तीसगढ़ बस्तर हाईलैंड्स, पूरा तमिलनाडु हाईलैंड्स हैं. Okay, if you look at गुजरात, काठियावाड़ पूरा हाईलैंड्स हैं. हिमालयस तो है ही, पूरा नॉर्थ ईस्ट हिमालयस हाईलैंड्स हैं, बट फॉर मे बी असम. Okay, plains में क्या बचा? Mainly northern plains of India. That's it. And maybe a small strip of coastal plains and 2 or 3 rivers, which are major ones. The bulk of India is mountains and highlands where conventional irrigation like tube wells and canals are not effective. They are not effective. Hard rocks में आप कैसे करोगे drilling? In the hard rocks, how you dig a canal also for that matter. ठीक है? So fair dominance of highlands and mountains. This is the geographical reality. अच्छा, एक और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रियलिटी है that monsoons are unreliable. Monsoons are unreliable. More than 70% of India has monsoonal variability of more than 25%. More than 70% of India has monsoon variability of more than 25%. ये बहुत होता है 25%. I'm expecting 100 centimeters rain. Imagine rainfall 75 में आ गया. Okay, on some years 125 हो गया. Okay, 2 साल फ्लड हुआ, 5 साल ड्राउट्स हो गया, खत्म हो गया आपका एग्रीकल्चर. You're done. इंडिया के मॉनसून्स में बहुत हाई वेरिएबिलिटी है. इंडिया, we say, no, is gamble in the monsoons. What I'm saying is, if I look at these numbers, what I'm saying is that water management is a major challenge in India. आप रेन पे भरोसा नहीं कर सकते और जहां इरिगेशन बनाना है आप वो बना भी नहीं सकते. India has a major water management challenge, okay, because of its conditions. अच्छा, next. इंडिया का, now see this data is critical. Without the numbers you can't appreciate कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है. If you look at India, इंडिया का नेट सोन एरिया जो है, a number I think याद है आपको numbers, is about 140 million hectares, plus or minus 45, 46, and that is approximately about 45% of India's reported area. ये है इंडिया का नेट सोन एरिया. इतना हम खेती करते हैं. 140 approximately million hectares. You write this as MHAC, which is almost 45% of India's reported area. Okay. Now, इस एग्रीकल्चर में हमारा जो इरिगेशन पोटेंशियल है, that's approximately around 110 million hectares. ये हमारा पोटेंशियल है. And remember, this potential is the gross irrigation area. In 1 year, if I include multiple irrigations, सब मिलाकर, how much can I irrigate? 110. ठीक है. What is India's gross sown area? Any idea? In terms, पढ़ा है नहीं पढ़ा है? Cropping, you have read cropping intensity, no? Okay. India's net sown area is 140. Gross sown area about 190, 200. You're cultivating more than once. Look at the gap here. Okay? अच्छा, एक और पॉइंट है. India's UIP, ultimate irrigation potential, कितना मैक्सिमम कर सकते हैं? It is about 130 million hectares. ये अल्टीमेट पोटेंशियल है given the existing technologies. Some say ये भी बहुत ज्यादा है, actually 120 ही है hectares. Imagine, our net sown area 140 है, ultimate potential, ये भी gross irrigation है, is 130, 120, and our gross farming is this much. Look at the gap here, which means even if I use all my technologies and have irrigation, can I have 100% irrigation? I cannot. That was my point. UIP, ultimate irrigation potential. Ultimate irrigation potential, UIP, given existing technologies. कल कोई और आया टेक्नोलॉजी, मैंने took out a machine, ऐसे स्पार्क किया, रेनफॉल हो गया, वो अलग है, उसके हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Okay, some of us, okay, खा पी के थूक मार दिया, बारिश हो गया. Okay, ठीक है, वो हमसे ना हो पाएगा. What is gross? Oh my God. You are fond of me, मुझे छोड़ना नहीं चाह रहे हो. Okay, आशीष, तुसी ना जा, नहीं जाता. 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre, 3 acre land, 1 acre land. This is my total agricultural land. This 1 acre I don't cultivate. This is my fallow land. This is my cultivable land. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 1. 7 acres are cultivable land. पर शायद ये मैं cultivate नहीं करता हूं. This is my fallow land. The actual cultivation is 6 acres. This is my net sown area. 6 acres. अब ये 1 land को मैं 3 बार करता हूं cultivate. 1 crop, harvest. 1 more crop, harvest. 3 times. This land maybe I cultivate twice. तो एक साल में कितना cultivate किया मैंने? 3 plus 4 plus 3. 3 बार कर दिया, 3 acres हो गया. इसको 2 बार कर दिया, 2 acres, 4 हो गया. और ये एक ही बार कर रहे हैं, 3 acres. मिला कितना हो गया? 10. So my net sown area is 6. My gross area is 10. Can I have this? Say 1 acre land, 2 acre land, and 1 acre land. Okay. I am irrigating this thrice. I am irrigating this once. इसका हम irrigation कर ही नहीं रहे. Okay. So my net sown area 1 plus 2 plus 1 कितना हो गया आपका? 4. What is my gross irrigation potential? Okay. Or irrigation is 3 plus 2 कितना हो गया? 5. 5 is my gross irrigation area. What's my net irrigation area? 1 plus 2, 3. Am I all of you here? So if my net sown area is 4 and my gross irrigation is 5, does it mean सारा land हो गया irrigation? Did you get the point here? I'm repeating. One land, मुझे पता है भूख लग रही है और एग्रीकल्चर ही चल रहा है, ओके? इसके बिना कोई खाना नहीं हो पाएगा. 1 acre land, 2 acre land, 1 more acre land, and I'm cultivating all the 3 land. My net sown area is 1 plus 2 plus 1. कितना हो गया? 4. 4 is my net sown area. यहां भी irrigation है, यहां भी irrigation है, यहां irrigation नहीं है. So what is my net irrigation? 1 plus 2, 3. But this land, I've got 3 times harvest, and all the 3 times I can irrigate. तो कितना हो गया irrigation यहां पर? 3. ये शायद एक बार irrigation कर रहे हैं 2. So my net irrigation कितना रहा? 1 plus 2 is 3. Gross irrigation कितना है? 3 plus 2, 5. So my net sown area was 4. My gross irrigation was 5. But does it mean all land gets irrigated? समझ में आया यहां पर? So if I say net sown area 40 है and my irrigation potential is 110, okay, how much land is not irrigated? This is my net irrigated area. This is my net sown area. Net sown area is 140. Net irrigation is 110. So how much of land is not irrigated? Don't do 140 minus 110. समझ में आ रहा है यहां पर? Okay, because some of the land is probably irrigated more than once also. This is my irrigation जो हम करा रहे हैं. This is my gross area, not net. ये gross irrigation area है 110. So actually our irrigation is available only for 60 to 70 million hectares. क्या मतलब है? More than half of India's net sown area has no irrigation. और वो कर भी नहीं पाओगे. उतना पानी नहीं है, या फिर माउंटेन में है, या फिर हाईलैंड्स हैं. Is it okay? Yeah, I made a mistake. This is gross, not net sown area. No, not net irrigated area. So my net irrigated area is actually this much, which means bulk of India's land is dry land and irrigation 100% possible ही नहीं है. तो मतलब क्या है? Lot of agriculture is destined to be in the dry regions without irrigation. तो आपने जो ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन किया था वो कहां पर किया था? जहां पर पानी है और जहां इरिगेशन पॉसिबल है. बाकी का क्या होगा? So we need a new farming system here where the crops can grow and profitably grow, but not requiring the rains and not requiring conventional irrigation. उसको बोलते हैं dry land farming. Just one sentence last, please. India's net irrigated area. एक मिनट, मैं क्या फिगर लिखा है यहाँ पर? I made a mistake or what? I've mentioned gross irrigation. Yeah, irrigation potential is gross irrigation is 110. Our net irrigation जो है, it's about 60 to 70 million hectares. 60 to 70 million hectares. Implying more than half of India's cultivable land, more than half of India's cultivable land cannot have irrigation of the conventional types, cannot have irrigation of the conventional type, but cannot be left to have droughts, cannot be left to have droughts. देखो, not having water should not be equal to कि farming होगा ही नहीं. I hope you got the point. It's like something like not having income should not mean I will die hungry. Okay, I must have systems where even if I don't have income, I must have my food for dignity. Education cannot be a function of can you pay for the school or not. वो आपका अधिकार है, human rights है. The government must ensure everybody quality education, irrespective of whether he can pay for it or not. The poverty of income is not equal to die of disease, die of hunger without education. Find a way how to address that. तो वैसे ही, okay, lack of water cannot mean droughts, crop failures and farmers poverty. तो हमें एक नया सिस्टम चाहिए इरिगेशन का या फार्मिंग का मेथड चाहिए where in dry conditions also the farmers can grow food and they can grow it profitably with income. Fine here? So dry land irrigation is, dry land farming is a type of agriculture system, where agriculture can be profitable, in rain-fed conditions. Agriculture can be profitable in rain-fed conditions without depending on conventional irrigation, and water management practices.